cardboard lovers. Welcome. This is Barrett, and first of all, I want to say thank you for my last video, which went much better than I expected. If you haven't watched it already, I would recommend to do so. It should be popping up right now on your screen as I'm talking. It's a personal list of top 5 Pokemon cards to buy now, in my opinion, in the Sword and Shield era. So today, as you can see here on the screen, we're going to be taking a look at Black and White hits. Now, Black and White was one of the least printed set in Pokemon. Black and White started with the base set in 2011, and the last set printed was Legendary Treasures in 2013. And we're not going to be looking at all sets today. We're going to just take a look at what I believe are the most underrated cards in the Black and White era. And again, personal opinion, these are my favorites. Could they go to zero next year, next week, in the next hour before I post this video? Possibly. But I'm just going to show you the artworks, and they just look amazing. And then I'll show you for last my favorite. Let's get started with base set. And here we are, as always, on card market. Let's focus on the European market, and then also, as always, we'll compare it to the Americans. So secret rare in this set, again, first set in the Black and White era, was this Pikachu secret. Beautiful card, low pop, but still it's pretty cheap. If we take a look at it, as you can see here, we have a PSA 10 listed for 950 and another one for 1,000 euros. And if we take a look at it, so this does not look like a strong 10. This seems to be on the case, obviously. And then here I see potentially a bit of edge wear. So here as well, so not really strong 10, but nevertheless, beautiful Pikachu, very simple. So moving on, the two iconic cards of the Black and White era are, in my opinion, the Zekrom full art and the Reshiram full art. Now, these cards as well are in low pop. As you can see here, we're taking a look only at the near mint English listings. This is a market, so some of them are not going to be actually near mint. Most of them are going to be very lightly played. Beautiful card, iconic. This obviously got reprinted in the 25th anniversary, but obviously this one is the original printing of the card. So as you can see here, we have a PSA 8 and then a PSA 10 with a gray background, which 500 euros doesn't sound too bad actually. Take a look at the Reshiram. Again, stunning card. Obviously this got printed as well with the Zekrom in the 25th anniversary. And here we have a BGS 9.5 for 400 euros and then a PSA 9 listed at 260. Now, if we take a look at pop report for these cards, we can see how we have a population 204 tens for the Reshiram and then 183 for the Zekrom. So again, low pop. And then here the Pikachu, although we took a look at the secret rare, is pop 201. So low pop obviously compared to not only today's number but also the EX and OG era. So here we can see some recent sales for the Reshiram. $56 for a PSA 9, 84, and then again 43 also for a PSA 9. We have two PSA 8s, both the Reshiram and Zekrom, for $73, 74 for a PSA 9. Again, at auction, $50. So I would say PSA 9 around 50. Then we have $108 at auction in October for both the Zekrom and the Reshiram PSA 9. And then here, finally, a PSA 10 for $285. And a few days earlier, another PSA 10 for $350. So let's say $300 for a PSA 10, while here we have a BGS 9.5 lister for 400. So as you can see, there is some sort of a difference, but again, these are just listings, obviously not sold items, so you can always make an offer. So moving on to the next set, which is Dark Explorer from 2012. Here, the most iconic cards are the Gardevoir Secret Rare and the Darkrai EX Full Art, as well as the Groudon, the Raikou, and the Entei. So for reference, the Black and White era is the era that got Pokemon started with full art cards. Here we have Darkrai EX, which I do own a copy in Italian. It's, I would say, played, maybe LP. And here the only listing we have is a near mint for 150 euros. this card is also a low pop card. If we take a look at some pop reports, you can see how it's only a pop 22 in PSA 10. And then again, the Gravity X, pop 15 in PSA 10. The Guard of War here is a pop 27. So we can see how this set got printed in such low amounts. And as a result, obviously, PSA reports for those are extremely low, which is why you might find a 9 for original price, and then the gap between a PSA 9 and PSA 10 in these cards for this specific era is enormous. So here's some recent sales. We have a potential $140 for a PSA 8 with a best offer accepted, but then at auction we have in September $120 for a PSA 9. At March of 2021, we can see how this was basically double that price. But that was indeed during the boom, so not surprised about that. But still, you see how we have so little listings of this card as population is so low. So moving on to the next set, which is Plasma Storm. Now we know how much of an ETB of Plasma Storm is, and let's not talk about it. The best card in their set are unarguably the Charizard and Blastoise Secret Rare, but also the Lugia, which is kind of the cover card of this set, ultra rare. So if we take a look at the Zard, we can see how here on Car Market we have first PSA 8 listed for 650, then PSA 9 for a little below 900 euros. No PSA 10s. If we take a look at recent sales, we can see our PSA 9 just sold for $900 with the best offer. And then at auction, finally in the European Union, a BGS 8.5 sold for 517 euros. And then again, a PSA 8 sold for best offer at $500. We can already see how, compared to the Darkrai, for instance, we have much more demand and supply this card, as indeed it's a higher pop card, and obviously it's a Zard, so it's one, if not the most sought after Pokemon. And then if we take a look at PSA 10 sales of this card, we can see how the most recent one was in May of this year, sold for $5,100. So you can see obviously that PSA 10 of any given hit within the Black and White era carries a large premium due to the fact that population is so low. So Blastoise, similar, a bit cheaper than the Zard. PSA 8, some listings here, $274. Now moving on with the last set of the Black and White block, but not the last one in my list, we have the Zekrom and Reshiram Gold cards, Secret Rare. So now keep in mind the full art Zekrom Reshiram in Black and White base were ultras. Now these are secrets and more sought after cards, as well as we have a higher pop of these cards. We also have this Charizard regular holo here, as well as the Reshiram and the Mew EX full art. So let's take a look, for instance, at just the Zekrom. We can see how we have some listing for a PSA 8 at 220 euros, PSA 9 at 280. And then here we're taking a look at some recent sales for the Reshiram and Zekrom from Legendary Treasures. We have $81 for a PSA 8 at auction. And then again, if we scroll down, we have the Zekrom BGS 8 for $62. Then here last month, a BGS 9 Zekrom sold for $150 at auction. And then again, a PSA 8 $125, best offer accepted. And then here in September, we have a CGC Gem Mint 10 sold at auction at $720. So another big premium that is carried by having that Gem Mint copy of the card. At last, my favorite set with my favorite card of all the Black and White era, Dragon's Exalted. Now this obviously have the most iconic Rayquaza Secret Rare. As you can see here, we only have 2 listings for near mint at around 600 euros. And just look at this card. How can you not like it? Just look at the colors, look at the artworks. Simple, yet powerful, in my opinion, which is why I put it as my top most underrated card of the Black and White era. Nonetheless, this in PSA 10 is just a pop 30. Only 30 copies of this card. Right now, there's only 1 listing on eBay. So public listing at $10,000 in Sweden, which obviously it's much more than I would value this card at. Nonetheless, the only available public listing of this card. If we take a look at some recent sales for this card, we have the most recent one being a PSA 8 at auction for $304. And then again, we have a PSA 9 sold a few weeks ago for $455 also at auctions. Now, just for reference, this is pop 270 if I'm not mistaken, PSA 9. So still, there's not many copies of this card moving around. Again, early October, PSA 8 sold for $330. So it's safe to say that PSA 8 goes for around $350 and a PSA 9 for just south of $400. So that was my list. Let me know what you think about it. Now, keep in mind, the print runs for this card was very limited. It is reflected by how few copies of any card you see sell. Now, keep in mind that the fact that a PSA 9 is not as expensive as you would expect for a card that is over 10 years old. The only reasonable explanation is that demand isn't as high as one would think it is. Supply was limited, and it still looks like people are not into this card as of right now. Now, last but not least, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss out on the next update. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think about the black and white era. Do you think it's kind of a forgotten block? Do you think it's underrated, overrated? You don't care about it? What are your thoughts on it? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.